Hello there, sweet one. Welcome to the first ever official episode of the Quantum Soul Podcast. I cannot even believe that we are here right now. I am not joking, you guys, when I tell you, a few days ago, this idea dropped in a dream. I woke up, I popped up, and I was like, oh my God, I need to make a podcast. And here we are. The way that it has all come together so beautifully and easily and gracefully really aligns with what I desire to have the purpose of this podcast be. I want to create a space where we get to rest into the sacredness of self-expression, of aligning with your true, most authentic self, and creating a life from that place, sharing your soul's gifts from that place. And so it's just so beautiful that with this download, I didn't even have an idea of what this podcast was going to be about, but as I've just taken the actions and allowed the energies to come through me, it's been made clear. So if you don't know, my name is Tyha Sloan. I am in a phase of reorganizing and in the way that I identify myself, but recently I've been known as a relationship coach and somatic healing mentor who has helped thousands of people all across the world. I've helped thousands of people all across the world heal their triggers, master their communication skills, and create the healthy and fulfilling relationships of their dreams. Now, that's what I've been doing for the past couple of years. And again, I'm in this new stage of completely reinventing myself. And that's a huge lesson that we're going to dive into in this series for this podcast. But I wanted to just start off by sharing what led me here, because I wasn't always someone who was into spirituality or into personal development. I guess you could say that I was, but not really being super aware of it. And I really went on quite a journey that maybe some of you can relate to, whether you are in the beginning of your journey of discovering your soul's purpose, you are recognizing that this place that you've been in is not fulfilling your soul in the way that you know is meant for you. Or if you're further along the path and you've been taking those actions and you've been stepping into your soul purpose more and more, but you're still in that exploration. So I'm going to just share this story because it's quite an interesting one, if I do say so myself, of the path that it took me to get from where I was to where I am now. So in 2017, I graduated from school with a mechanical engineering degree. In my eyes, you couldn't really get as opposite as what I do now. But growing up, I was always deep thinking. I was always really, introspective and loved helping people. But I got fed this idea, or I attached to this idea that doesn't make you money. And there's more smarter, more successful ways to be. And I was super smart. I was really good at math and physics and all of those things. And so even though my family was like, are you sure you want to be an engineer? I was like, yes, because it's going to make me look really good, especially as a female. It's going to pay me a lot of money, so on and so forth. So I went to school as a mechanical engineer. 4 years, worked my butt off, partied a lot too, but worked my butt off and did really well and got a well-paying job right out of college. I kid you not, 3 weeks into this 9 to 5, I am freaking out. I'm like, what have I done? What have I done? I cannot do this. This is horrible. And maybe some of you can relate to that. Like 40-hour work weeks, being on somebody else's schedule, like that's a whole thing. And, I felt like I was suffocating, sitting inside all day, driving in traffic to work, sitting inside all day, sitting at a computer, doing kind of mental tasks alone, and then going home and then doing it all over again and living for the weekends. I was like, I'm dying, I'm suffocating. And so I quickly started to plot my escape. Now, many people would not do that, right? After studying for 4 years, they'd be like, I gotta just stick to this for at least a bit. And that is okay. It just wasn't for me. And I want to speak to, like, there's something magical about when you recognize that you're not on path, that you're not on your true soul's path. And when you can take action as soon as possible to get back on path. And that's what I feel like I am so grateful to my soul and to the skills that I built within myself throughout this life that allowed me to be like, no. Even if I spent this much time doing this, working really hard, going to college, I do not want to waste my life away, even for an extra year, if I don't have to. And do something that's killing me inside. So it took me a little bit of time to like really see how I could make this shift, but everything changed once I was about a year into that job. I already knew I was like percolating this. I wasn't gonna last that long, but again, it's okay if it takes some time to actually take that action. But what was important was that I committed. I knew that I was going to make the change as soon as I possibly could. So I go on this trip to Alaska with my family. We drive around in an RV for 10 days. It's August 2018. And I am like, oh my goodness, the spaciousness, the vast forest, the nature. I was like, this is what my soul feels like. This is what is true to me. And I had this big breath of fresh air. And then I go home and I sit back in my cubicle. And I remember writing an Instagram post. I still have the screenshot of it, and I'm so grateful for that version of me who said, she wrote in the post, I'm in a funk and I know I'm going to get out of it, but it's really uncomfortable. And I'm just recognizing how this is not for me. I can't do this anymore. I can't live a life that feels half lived or even partially lived because I have to do this thing for safety, security, and happiness. Like, these things were nowhere in sight doing what I was taught would bring me those feelings. So I say in that post, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know I'm gonna manifest the shit out of creating something that's better than this. I didn't even know what manifestation practices were back then. I didn't. But I knew deep in my heart, in my bones, that every moment that I'm not actively aligning to and taking actions in and getting excited about where I'm going and what I want to experience, and I'm spending it doing something else, like an engineering job that's draining the life out of me, I am delaying time, and we have only a specific amount of time on this planet. We do. That's our human part of us, right? So I had this knowing that the sooner I start taking actions, the sooner I start doing the things that are in alignment with my soul, even if it takes me away from that old said version of success, stability, security, happiness, then I'm going to create those feelings in the direction that's true for me so much sooner. And I often reflect, like, a lot of people, I remember back then, people talking about, like, stick around the job just for your 401k, right? To get that extra money. But if I had done that, I would have been 2 to 3 years behind in my true soul path's journey. And when I reflected back after I made this big shift, I had accomplished so much in that 2 to 3 years, so much learning, because I had that commitment and desire to actually show up and do things that were uncomfortable, do things I've never done before. And so I just want you to know, if you are in that place of like saving it up till it's a little bit easier, or till it's makes more sense, or you have more time, my love, that's likely never going to happen. Because there will always be excuses to not do something that's new and a little bit scary. It's safer to stay in what's familiar yet painful than to step into something new, because at least we're familiar with that pain. So just know that the time is now. You don't have to make this huge shift, which I have a history of doing, but that's what's been working for me. You don't have to make a huge shift, but it is imperative that you take time. You prioritize what you say you really want. Because when you keep cheating yourself and not making time for what you say you really want, that's on nobody but you. We are co-creating this life with the universe. And in order to co-create, we have to take actions. We have to show up in alignment with the version of us who would have that opportunity or that job or that life. So, let me get back to the story, because this is where it gets good. So, I finally get back to my cubicle, and this is where I'm like, I'm done. I refuse to listen to any of these old stories, to listen to my parents, to listen to the fears around what will people think if I leave this successful seeming job and I go to something else. And I say, no, I commit. I give myself a deadline. I say, I literally cannot do this longer than the rest of the year. There's like 3 to 4 more months of the year. I'm like, I cannot do this. So by that time, if nothing else has happened, I'm going to go to the local UFC gym and start doing personal training, because my passion at the time was fitness, and figure it out from there. And I had this beginner mindset of like, I don't have to know what to do. I learn by doing. So the more I practice and I show up and I let myself be messy, the faster I will learn. So many people will, and I've seen this in myself and many of my clients, they're looking for that one thing that they know that they're good at, that's going to make them money, that's going to do all of these things before they take the action. And I realized in this chapter of my life that the only way to actually create those results is to act even before any of those things are guaranteed. So that was what I was going to do. I followed what was a little bit more exciting than engineering at the time. And I didn't know where it was going to take me. All I knew was I was passionate about fitness. I really loved it. I was super into it. And if I can help people in that world, and I can be in this world that I'm already wanting to be in when I'm at my cubicle job, then that's going to be more fulfilling. And it's just hilarious looking back on it, because that wouldn't have been super great. I was living in Silicon Valley, Northern California at the time, in this area where similarly my soul was suffocating. I was in this techie area, city area, not very close to nature. And I was feeling like, I grew up in Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands. I'd been away from the ocean for like months and months and months. Years and years and years, I should say. And I was like, I just want to be next to the ocean again. And the crazy part is, I hadn't even been to San Diego, which is where I live now, since I was like 9 years old. I didn't even know anything about it. But I knew that something was calling me there. So my heart, my being, my soul is calling me to a completely different world, a completely different realm of existence from like being a tech engineer in Silicon Valley kind of energy. My mind had created this next step of being a personal trainer at a UFC gym in San Jose, which is where I was living. Not my soul's favorite place. But at least I committed to this goal, right? So I committed to this goal. Meanwhile, by the end of 2018, right? Meanwhile, I'm still following my soul's guidance, what I call the breadcrumbs of my soul, right? All of these heart pulls, heart desires, interests, fitness, ocean, San Diego, serving people. I called those the breadcrumbs of my soul. And so the one breadcrumb that I followed during this time was joining this online corrective exercise program that I found through Instagram. Because simultaneously I was working through some physical pain, and that's a whole nother story that I'll talk about at some point. But I started learning about how much pain is our greatest teacher, and it's not something to resist or fear, but something to embrace and learn from. And this program online, once I joined it, which it was a scary thing to do, first time investing in myself in that way, I invested this chunk of money into myself, $600. It's huge for me at the time. And once I got in it, I was like, whoa, I love this. I love, as hard as it was to like do the work that I was doing, the deep embodiment, inner work, connecting with my muscles, reconnecting with my body in a way that I had never done before. It felt so good. And I was learning so much, and I felt like I was awakening parts of my system that I had never felt before. And we had this beautiful online community where we would all post videos of ourselves doing our movements, help people, coach people, and I fell in love. And what ended up happening was I kept following what excited me and what I loved doing. So don't tell anybody, but I would be sitting at my engineering job in my cubicle, helping people in this Facebook group with movement. instead of doing my job because I couldn't do it anymore. And I would get home and I would just coach people and I would help people. And I got so much fulfillment and so much growth and so much learning in myself. I became a better, I learned it more the more I taught and I gave and all of that kind of thing. And as I kept doing that, I just got these like ideas, and I actually got connected with, because I was so active in the group, I got connected with certain the people who own the company and the other coach in the company, and they really saw how much I was showing up in there. And I asked the owner, I was like, is there any chance you'll have an opening sometime soon? At that point, it was a startup. There was like 6 employees or something like that. And I just put my heart out there without really expecting it to work out. But what happened was I kept showing up as the person who would get that job. And mostly I was connected to my joy, to my excitement, to what my heart was calling me towards. Again, I was done with the cubicle. I wanted so deeply to serve people and interact with humans and help them while I'm helping myself. 1 month after this, the owner of the company reaches out to me and says, Taiha, can you come down to San Diego next weekend? I knew they were in San Diego, but I didn't know how much they were going to be aligned with where I wanted to be, first of all. But he's like, can you come down to San Diego? We have the need for another movement coach in the company, but you need to come down here now. By the way, it was like, it wasn't going to be super, like, if they didn't use me, there was a lot of options that they could have used. So I needed to keep showing up as this person that was committed to this transformation of my life and service. And so I last minute did a solo road trip down from San Jose down to San Diego, drove 8 hours by myself, spent the weekend with this company in North County, San Diego, which, if you don't know, San Diego is amazing. It's still a city. It's on the ocean, but it's still a city. North County is like paradise. I call it the Hawaii of California. And I had no idea that I would land here. And I didn't even put these things together of like wanting to manifest this job and wanting to be in San Diego next to the ocean. But what happened was I had in my system, as I was creating this vision for what I wanted my life to look like, while I'm sitting in my cubicle, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is not right. This is not right. But I didn't stay in the victim. I stepped into dreaming. Dreaming with a sense of purpose and service. And I let myself dream. And I said, you know what? What does my soul really want? I want the opposite of this job. I want a job where I can be, it's like super chill and unprofessional in the workspace. Don't have to dress up in formal clothes. I want a job where I'm not working from home the whole time, but I'm in the office way less frequently. So maybe Tuesdays to Thursdays for half the day or something, so I can still get that connection and that sense of being with people. I wanted to be able to surf and do CrossFit, which is what I was into at the time, anytime I wanted to. I wanted to be able to work remotely. Like all of these things I got super specific on. Serve people, help people, and then there's a San Diego thing. And guess what happened, you guys? This job was exact that. Exactly. I only went into the office Tuesdays through Thursdays, 11 to 5. I got my CrossFit membership paid for by them because it was a movement company. So it was just unbelievable how aligned it was and how my soul, through me having the dream drop in and then following it, taking the right actions, like when I drove down to San Diego to meet the company, I could have not done that. I could have been like, that's too last minute, that's too much, I don't want to do it by myself, like blah, 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 blah. No, I said, I'm the human that does the thing. And I went and I met them. And within a month after that, well, this is what happened first. I drove home. My nose is so itchy right now for some reason. I drove after meeting them and being on cloud 9 because I have this like total new perspective of like my life could actually change. I could actually receive something that I've craved so deeply. At the time, like this company was like my dream job. And I'm driving home from San Diego to San Jose, 8-hour drive, starting at night. I start at like 7 p.m. and I'm driving and I'm blasting music and I'm like, Taiha, if you want your dreams to come true, you have to make it home alive. Do not fall asleep on this drive. You got this. And I get home at like 3 a.m. and then I go to work the next day. And I'm back in my cubicle. But I'm filled with this energy of possibility and excitement and alignment. And in just a week, that CEO calls me and tells me, Taiha, you got the job. We want you down here in like 2.5 weeks. And within that 2.5 weeks, I packed up my entire life in San Diego. I put in my notice. I left and I drove all the way down here. And I've never left. I found myself I found a home 1 block from the beach that I've still been in the most beautiful area that has held so many other incredibly ridiculous synchronicities for me. But it's just the most wildest thing when we realize the creative power that we have. When we realize that we are constantly being guided towards the things that will fulfill us the most. And it's not a matter of you don't know what you should do. It's usually that you're not actually listening to your heart, to the whispers of your heart. You're not actually following the breadcrumbs that your soul is leaving you, saying, this excites you, this doesn't feel good, this feels way better, follow this, follow this. And another part of the story is that I got my paycheck cut in half going from engineering to this job. But you know what? It didn't matter. I felt so much happier living more minimally and living next to the beach and waking up every day for sunrise and going to sunset every night, going surfing, getting in the ocean all the time, serving people, being on my own time most of the time. Like all of that was so much more valuable to me than doing something that did not fill me up for the money. And so this was just the first part of my journey, and I hope that it inspires you or resonates with you in some way to really start recognizing those things that you really want. Because that was only 2018, it's 2025 now. That was 7 years ago. And it's been like these 7 years have felt like 25 years because of how much life you get to live when you are following your soul's calling. And again, I didn't know where I would be led. I just followed that one next thing that excited me more than what I was currently doing. And I trusted that the more I followed my heart, the better I would know my heart, the better I could hear my heart, the more clear my signals would be telling me to go this way or that way, and the more trust I would build with myself, the more I experimented and followed things. Like, again, my idea was being a personal trainer at that UFC gym. That was my little mind's ideation of what could have been possible. But as I kept feeling into like, what's the energy, what are the qualities of all the things that I want to experience, like those things I named earlier, the freedom, the service, the time, like I'm in the office, like all of those specifics, those helped attract something even better than what my little mind could have created. And if I didn't come down here, if I didn't invest in that one program, I could have still been an engineer, you guys. So I want you to really tune in to like, where are you keeping yourself small, stuck in something that you know is not who you really are? You know you're meant for more. You know that you're here for a reason. And I just have to say, like, we need you right now. We need you to be brave. Because when we are living a life that feels half-lived or is draining us, we are creating the issues that we live in this planet. We're feeding those old patterns of this is how it has to be. We can't do that anymore. We get to step up. We get to be brave. We get to trust that our soul knows, even if it's freaking scary, even if we're going to have a little less so-called stability that doesn't even really exist in the way that we've been conditioned to think it does, right? The finances don't create your stability. Your inner state, the way you hold yourself, the way you are through the world, that's what creates your stability. And when you can trust your inner nudges, when you can trust where you're being guided and your ability to show up and take those actions, like me right now, just throwing out this podcast out of nowhere. I had no plan to do it, but my soul is like, go. And I'm like, yes. Because now I know what happens when I follow those nudges, when I follow those breadcrumbs. So what is your soul guiding you towards? What action can you take every day? One more action that gets you one step closer to where you want to be. And can you practice surrendering into the unknown? Finding that sense of, I don't know what's going to happen, but my heart knows, and I'm going to trust that. That's where true stability and joy and excitement and fulfillment comes from. So I hope that this was supportive for you, and I can't wait to share more of my story. This is just part one, but a huge part that I always look back on with so much reverence and gratitude, because at that point, I didn't have that much trust yet. But something in me was like, you gotta just do it anyways. And I'm so grateful I did. And your soul is guiding you to something that you are meant for too. And this is your invitation to lean in. All right, my love, this is the completion of our first episode of the Quantum Soul Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening to my story. Please, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and like and subscribe to the podcast. I'm super stoked to continue bringing you more stories, more manifestation, more magic, more guidance. I am really welcoming in so many more of my soul gifts too to be sharing, right? I've been in this world of relationship coaching and mastering your triggers, but there's so much more that we get to dive into together, including somatic practices, activations, energy transmissions, and just super potent and powerful teachings that will help you really quantum leap in your life and step into your soul purpose in a way that you could have never even imagined. All right, I love you so, so, so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll chat more soon. Bye.